Alrighty, so I'm going to quickly do the review of both of these matinee games and also do the preview of the free games that's going to be happening tomorrow to conclude the opening weekend of the 2021 MLS season, because in about 40 minutes at the time of this recording, that's when the kickoff between LAFC versus Austin FC is going to happen on FS1. So with both of these matinee games, we saw both of them being rivalry game, and while one of them did not live up to the hype and expectation of how the game would play out, one of them did, and the one that did was the Canadian Classique in the first game of this matinee game between Montreal and Toronto. And how about Montreal? And how about Wilfred Nancy? An absolute dream debut in his coaching career as his team was able to win 4-2 against TFC. And for TFC coming into this game, when I saw Chris Armas decide to go with the same lineup that he play against Lyon, I had a feeling this is probably not going to end up well, because while that was a historical win for TFC, and you might think that maybe they can carry that momentum heading into this game, that game was also a game where I thought TFC really spent a lot of energy, and there was so much intensity in that game against Lyon. And with them have to turn around in less than 3 days, it was going to be really tough to ask, especially with a lot of these inexperienced players. And therefore, when you see throughout this game, you can clearly see they were definitely not up to their speed, and were definitely a step slower than what Montreal offer in this game. Now, Montreal, they decided to go with a strong starting 11, which include Mihailovic and Kamal Miller getting their debut for Montreal in this game. And it did not take long for Montreal to get their first goal of the season. It's Mason Toye that scored from Brogy Yachts to give Montreal a 1-0 lead, almost at the Impact name again. By the way, I was actually very surprised that both of the TSN announcer, which was Scott Cottvale and Luke Walton, none of them actually mentioned the Impact name throughout this broadcast. I mean, I was assuming maybe they were going to have a slight slip up and say that this is the Montreal Impact when their name is now CF Montreal, but throughout the broadcast they basically just said CF Montreal. So yeah, it seems like it's already kind of stick into their mind, although for me, I occasionally will have this slip up of calling Montreal Impact, even though they're no longer calling that. But going back to this, this was a bad giveaway from Aro. I mean, it was a WTF giveaway that he gave away to Brogy Yachts, but Brogy Yachts played beautiful ball to Mason Toye, and this has to feel good for Mason Toye, scoring his first goal in 10 months, and maybe this can potentially get him going, and maybe start a good run that he had with Minnesota a couple of years ago. But then 2 minutes later, Schaffelberg almost had a chance to get the equalizer for TFC as he went through on goal, but unfortunately he shot it wide. Then Toye had a chance to make it 2-0 and grab his second goal in the 16th minute, but it just went wide from 4 yards out. And I thought Toronto, they were definitely not having a lot of success in terms of pressing in this game, and I don't even think they kind of press in this one, because Montreal find it very easy to basically, if TFC was actually trying to press, Montreal find it so easy to trying to pass through the press and also play it over the top. And one of those moments that when they did play it over the top and are able to have one of their players to go through on goal happened in the 23rd minute. It's Romel Kyoto who basically make a darting run on the right side, basically completely outpacing the center back for Toronto, and he was able to score in that near post and score from Joel Waterman to make it 2-0 in favor of Montreal. And while, I would blame that Singh did not do a good job in terms of keeping up to Kyoto, I think the main culprit here has to be Bono. I mean, I feel like Bono clearly should have done better, especially with the way that Kyoto was in that near post. And when you're a goalkeeper, you do not want to get beaten in your near post there. Unfortunately, Bono was beaten there in the near post, but Montreal was up 2-0 in this game. There was a big shout for a penalty for TFC in the 37th minute after Schaffelberg looked like he was brought down in the box, but TFC did get a penalty in the 41st minute as Waterman bring down Aro in the box. Now, Aro actually stepped up for this penalty because there was no Pozuelo or Altidore to take the penalty here, and I just thought that probably is not going to end up well, because I know Aro hasn't scored a goal for TFC, and that he isn't a guy that is the regular penalty kick ticker. And I think after this, it's pretty clear that he probably should never take a penalty for Toronto ever again, because this penalty was an absolute disaster. The way that he just hit this one straight down the middle with no pace whatsoever. And Clement Diop did make a save on that, but unfortunately, when Diop made the save out of the shot, he came off his lines way too soon. So TFC, they were able to get a second chance off from that mishap that Diop has, and this time it was Delgado the one that takes the second penalty, and Delgado make no mistake to give TFC some life in this game heading into halftime, but that life quickly comes to an end in the second half as Wayama would score from Kiza to make it 3-1 in favor of Montreal. Bradley then missed an absolute sitter from 6 yards out that if he actually buries that one, that could have set up a very interesting last 28 minutes, but instead Montreal would not only hold this 3-1 lead, but they would actually make it 4-1 just 9 minutes after that horrid miss from Michael Bradley, and it's Georgi Mihailovic that scores from Eric Hurtado, and Mihailovic definitely deserved to have a goal in this. I think if you want to give who is the man of the match in this game, it has to be Georgi Mihailovic, who played very well in this game and have already shown that $1 million that Montreal paid to Chicago is worth every penny with the performance that he had in this one. TFC did get one back in the last 3 minutes as Richie Larea was able to score from Marshall Rudy to give TFC the second goal and come a little bit closer, but unfortunately it was pretty much too late for them to start an incredible comeback, as in the end, Montreal, an impressive 4-2 win against Toronto. As the shots in this game, both teams have 12 shots in this game. 5 shots on goal compared to 3 that Toronto has. 8 shots off target compared to 3 that Montreal has. 1 shot that was blocked compared to Montreal has 4 here. And possession-wise, 49% possession compared to 51% possession that Montreal has in this game. So the stats line's pretty even between both of these teams, but in the end, Montreal basically took advantage of most of the chances that they had, and Toronto was not able to do so. And again, this was expected with the way that it was always going to be tough to try to ask a lot of these kids to have a free day rest after playing such an intensity game and trying to once again match that against your most hated rival in MLS. And that for TFC, they hope that maybe in the future they might potentially get some of their starters back, which I still don't know what has happened to this Toronto squad, of why in the world they seems to have such an injury crisis right now to start the season. And it doesn't help answering that question, consider they also have been very quiet in terms of what has happened to some of their star guys like Pozuelo and Altidore. Well, we probably know what happened to Altidore, but I still don't know what happened to Pozuelo and why he hasn't been available for this TFC side to start the season. But now moving on, in terms of the next match is the one that turns out to be a big disappointment, as Orlando and Atlanta played to a goalless draw. And what's kind of disappointing in this game is that there wasn't really a lot of chances in this game, and it feels like this was a very physical game between both of these teams, and also a game where I think both teams kind of didn't want to play for, or both teams didn't want to lose and kind of play for a draw in this one. But Josef Martinez, there was question whether or not if he was going to be in the starting 11 again. Well, turns out he was actually on the bench in this one, but he did came off the bench late in this game. And for Orlando, they were a tick short-handed in this game. No João Matinho, Janssen, and Maurizio Pereira for them coming into this one. Now, in the first half, 5 minutes in, Nani had a 18-yard shot that just went wide off the mark. It was a bit of a scrappy game between both teams early on, and that would be kind of the story throughout the majority of this game, as again, not really a lot of chances in this game, and it was a very physical and kind of at times very stalemate kind of game with the midfield battle going on with both of these teams. There was no penalty given to Orlando in the 28th minute after it looks like Pato feel like he was brought down in the box, but I kind of feel like Pato was the one that draw the foul there, as I forgot who he draw that foul off of. I think it was Walks that he draw that foul off of, or actually no, it was Sosa, the one that he's tried to kind kind of draw a foul and have Sosa to pretty much bring him down in the box, but the referee was having none of it, and there was no penalty given to Orlando because of that. I thought Atlanta looked good in the first half, and I know I said this game was kind of scrappy between both of these teams. I thought if you're the road team, this kind of favors you, because with the game being scrappy like that, maybe you can like nick a goal in this one, and I think that's what Atlanta was trying to do. And that, as much as they also look good, they were once again lacking in the final third of this game. Then Junior Urso in the 42nd minute tried to hit one in, but unfortunately it goes high. Before Maroney on the other end tried to curl one in, but it was a relatively weak curler shot, and Galese easily catch this one. So we head to halftime 0-0 between both of these teams, and as we head into the second half, two early chances for Orlando City. First, Guzan was able to deny Pereira, who came off as a substitute at halftime from a long-range effort, before Antonio Carlos had a free header in the box, but unfortunately weren't able to put that one on target and missed wide of the net. Then there was some choice words between Nani and Ezekiel Barco, because remember, this is a rivalry game, and both of these teams do not like each other, although I didn't really see a lot of coming together between both of these teams as I've seen in previous meetings, but obviously that moment between Nani and Barco kind of sharing choice words just to remind you that, yeah, Orlando and Atlanta do not like each other whatsoever. Now, in the 71st minute, Guzan was able to rob Pato after Pato's shot actually took a deflection off of Walks, and this was actually a good save from Guzan to not only able to save the shot from Pato, who hits it from close range, but since it was deflected, he had to kind of readjust himself and able to make the save. And I thought that was probably the only chance that Pato had in this game, as I thought he was relatively quiet in his debut for Orlando City. Then in the 75th minute, after the hydration break, the father of Orlando was subbed on as Joseph Martinez looked to trying to score a late goal for Atlanta in this game and steal one for Atlanta again in this game against Orlando City. But then in the 78th minute, there was definitely a lot of concern if you're an Orlando City fan, seeing Pato had to be subbed off with a knee injury. And I know this might sounds kind of a typical Alexandre Pato, unfortunately suffering a knee injury literally on opening day, because he just have not had any luck in terms of injury history. But when you look at this knee injury that he suffered, yeah, it definitely did not look very good. I think he kind of got himself caught on the turf. Something very similar to what we saw in that game between the Crew and Real Esteli, where Aiden Morris basically got his knee stuck on the turf. And unfortunately for Crew fan, I think they probably got the news this morning that he's pretty much going to be out for the season with a torn ACL. They announced the total attendance of this game was 12,503, which I think that's right about 50%, or actually no, that is dead on at 50% as they allow capacity for this game. So officially this was a sold out that Orlando City has, and it definitely did look like it was a sold out. I mean, there was definitely a lot of fans there to support the home team. Maybe even some Atlanta fans making their way down from Georgia to watch their team play. Both teams did push for the late winner in the last 10 minutes of this game. Galese did deny Ibarra from long range in the 89th minute. Now, Galese did kind of spill this long range effort, and I think he's fortunate there was no Atlanta players that was nearby, because if there was an Atlanta player nearby, or specifically if the father of Orlando was actually nearby, that would have been 1-0 in favor of Atlanta, and that would have been a very bad moment for Pedro Galese. But in the end, it finished goalless between Orlando and Atlanta, as the shots in this game, and actually the stats in this game, I think this is probably the first time this has ever happened, but both of these teams actually had the exact same shots on goal, shots off target, and blocked shot in the entire game. Like, both teams had 11 shots, both teams had 3 shots on goal, both teams had 6 shots off target, and both teams had 2 shots that was blocked in this entire game. And the only difference in terms of the stat lines is Atlanta had 59% possession compared to 41% possession that Orlando City had in this game. And, coming out of this game, who would be probably the happier side coming out of this? I think Atlanta. I think, they were able to get a good roll point here, and although they still need to work on in terms of their final third, which is still a bit of an issue after seeing this game. You know, I feel like eventually they are going to work on that, and that, you know, I did say before where Atlanta probably is going to get off to a slow start because a lot of these new pieces that they got in the off season, you know, it's going to take time for it to gel, and especially with Heinze trying to get his tactics and philosophy put into this team, it's going to take time for Atlanta to really get back to the Atlanta that we know. But if you're Orlando City, yeah, you know, there's got to be a little bit concerned, especially with Pato now being injured, and that, you know, they do still have some good option in that number 9 position of either they're putting Benji Michelle in this game or Tesha Akindele. Well, I don't think Akindele might be the answer because he actually started it in this game and he did not look good whatsoever. So, you know, for Orlando, there might be some concern in terms of that spot, and I think a lot of Orlando City fans are hoping that once Daryl DK's finish his time on loan with Barnsley, he can come back to this team, because you just kind of feel like they really miss Daryl DK, especially going forward on the attack. But yeah, there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review of both of these matinee games. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of both of these games. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I, of course, will see you guys next time.